Episode number 109 from Macau, China. Welcome to the Heads Up Poker Podcast. This is Steve Barton, and thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your emails. Thank you for your tweets. Thank you for following. Thank you for all your support. I really appreciate it. Wouldn't be here without you guys. I want to throw a special shout out to Peggy Sue, the Nermi, Al Cicerone, Adam Hendricks, Jason Glatzer, and Nicola. Thank you guys for sweating me last night. Sometimes it can be kind of lonely at 1 o'clock in the morning in the casino, and it's nice to throw out an update on Twitter and know that some people are sweating you. So that was really cool. Thank you guys. And I want to thank you to Hans for last episode. I was talking with Fritz about the bathroom situation in North Carolina, and I thought, I wonder if anyone else in the other part of the world even knows about this. And I got an email from Hans saying he's from Sweden, and he says Sweden does not give a shit. So that was pretty cool. But out here in China, China is pretty cool. I like this country a lot. There's lots of cute little girls with pigtails that look like anime characters. Although my arm is hurting from Ale hitting me every 5 seconds, this country is very, very cool. A lot of really good food. Everything's pretty cheap compared to America. So you guys know me, being a life net, I love it. People are extremely friendly here too. We were trying to catch a taxi. Taxis are a little bit hard to come by here. Uber's the thing out here. We were trying to catch a taxi the other night. We were watching the Wynn water show out here. Steve Wynn, he's got a casino out here as well, and he has a water show. I think it's better than the one in Vegas, than the Vegas water show, because the water is consistently going, and then he has one big show every 15 minutes, as opposed to the Bellagio, where it's just a lake, and then every hour, I think, they do a water show. Out here, it's every 15 minutes, and it's we stuck around, I think, for 3 of them, and it was a different song every time and a different show. So very cool, very cool. Anyhow, we're trying to catch a taxi out there, and just could not catch one. They were all, taken. None of them had their red lights on. And then a guy just pulled up in a minivan with his wife and kid, and he said, "Hey, you guys trying to catch a ride?" And we're like, "Yeah." And he said, "Hop in. Where are you going?" And so we hopped in with him, and he took us back to our hotel, and didn't want anything in return, just a smile. He got to practice his English. We got to shoot the shit for 10 minutes, and very cool. People are very friendly out here, and I dig it. So far, China is very cool. It got a few reviews, a couple of reviews on iTunes, some 5-star reviews. Want to say thank you to Alex Whitty from the UK. Great podcast. Look forward every week to hearing Steve and Mike's poker antics. And then another one from Jay Toa, also from the UK. These two have a great dynamic, and I feel like I'm along for the ride with them. Great to hear things from the perspective of winning players. You can tell they enjoy doing the podcast, and it's all very real. Great job. Keep up the grind. Thank you, guys. It's very cool. We're getting more and more reviews. I love it. Don't have Mike here with me this week and the next, because I'm going to be out here in China, and I don't know how to record. There's got to be a way I can record from my phone to get on with Mike, but the time difference is 15 hours. And anyways, you got me for the week. But anyways, thank you very much for the reviews. Very cool. This is kind of off on a tangent, but something I've been experimenting with in the last week or so is cold showers. And I heard this on a podcast, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. It can't hurt, right? I started doing some research and looking into all the benefits of taking a cold shower or jumping into a cold pool or a cold river, or basically just submerging yourself in cold water. And there's several benefits that I've found. And I'm recording in a hotel room right now, so you may hear some background thumping of the cleaning lady. But basically, it wakes you up, which I think probably goes without saying. But there's scientific proof that this improves your immune system, so you'll get sick less often. It improves circulation. And this is the one I kind of like, is it ups your metabolism. So it stimulates weight loss. It speeds up muscle recovery and muscle soreness, which I like a lot because I have a morning workout routine that I do every morning. And I like to work out and do push-ups and pull-ups and go for runs and stuff. And when you work out every day, you're always just a little bit sore. I mean, if you just always are. There's just no way around it. And it's just what comes with working out. If you're not sore every day when you're working out, then you're not working out hard enough. It relieves stress, and it relieves depression. So I started doing the cold showers, and there's kind of an art to it. What you want to do is, when you first turn on the water, it's going to kind of take your breath away, and you're gonna kind of start hyperventilating for at least the first 30 seconds or so. But then after that, once you go through that, what happens is you kind of get this calming effect. And after that, the water doesn't feel cold anymore. You feel like this deep heat that kind of starts in your core, in the center of your chest, and then it spreads out throughout your body. And it feels really good. One of the things that I heard a doctor talk about was, he said what happens is you, let's see, how can I describe this? He said that we as humans now in modern society, we don't get many adrenaline dumps. We're not having to run from tigers and chase down our dinner. And so he believes that's why there's so many instances of road rage and, people just losing their shit over small things that don't matter, is because we don't have those adrenaline dumps anymore, and we're not used to that happening several times a day. Well, you can recreate the same effect by taking a cold shower. It does the exact same thing. When you turn on that cold water, you instantly wake up, you feel that adrenaline dump, and it becomes a normal part of your routine. So, yeah, I mean, I really dig it. And another thing that I really like about it is it causes you to, it doesn't take any extra time. You have to take a shower anyways, right? So it takes literally no effort other than the drive and the will to put yourself through this. You just turn the shower to cold, and you're going to be taking a shower anyway, so there's no extra time doing this. It's not like going to the gym or doing a workout every morning. I mean, that's like an hour or hour and a half in some cases, or 30 minutes or however long it takes you to work out. That's extra time that you have to dedicate just for that you're not doing something else productive. But this cold shower, there's huge benefits to it and scientific proof that it works, and it doesn't take any extra time to do it. I mean, you guys know me. I'm a fan, there's two things in this world that I hate, and one is waste and the other is inefficiency. And this does not apply to either one of those. You're not wasting any extra water because you're going to be taking a shower anyways, and you're not being inefficient. It's not wasting any extra water. It's not wasting any extra time. Yeah, I would love to hear what you guys think about it. Try it. Just try it. Put yourself through it. It's not easy. And I've been doing it for about a week, or actually, no, probably a week and a half now. And that first initial jump still hasn't gotten any easier. The first 20 to 30 seconds is pretty brutal, especially Man, the water out here in China is much colder than it is in Los Angeles, and it's that first 20 or 30 seconds has not gotten any easier. Maybe it will with time. I don't know. I'll let you guys know. But after that, you kind of get this euphoric Superman feeling, like you would get if you're a runner, like you kind of get at the end of a run. So that last, they call it that second wind, or your last wind. You've run a couple of miles, and then you're going to sprint those last 3 football fields. It's that euphoric feeling that you get at the end of that. Same feeling with the cold shower after about a minute. You get that kind of warm, like Superman feeling, and you just feel like your whole body feels warm. And when you turn the water off, like when you feel your skin, even though you've been doing this in 45-degree water, and that's Fahrenheit, by the way, you feel warm. It's really cool. So let me know if you try it. Email me at headsuppokerpodcast@gmail.com, or hit me up on Twitter at HeadsUpPoker.Podcast, and let me know how it works for you. I'd love to hear what you guys think. And I think it would help with poker as well. I mean, you're having these adrenaline dumps in poker, when you got hundreds of dollars on the line on either a call or a fold, or a shove, or whatever it is. You're getting those adrenaline dumps, and if you can get one of those out of the way at the beginning of the day, I think it helps at the poker table as well. So let's see, let's talk some poker here. Let's make some money. I'm out here in Macau. I've been playing some tournaments. Yesterday, I played a satellite. I played a satellite to one of the main events. They had 3 tournaments running. I played a satellite. I got second in that. So didn't win the heads-up battle. That was a little disappointing, but I did get some money towards... there was some overlay, and I got some money to buy into the main. And let's talk some cards. Let's make some money. Speaking of making money, I'll tell you how to make some money. Picture dollar signs every time you hear Elliott Rowe's name. Okay, every time you hear Elliott Rowe, just picture those dollar signs. Get in the right mindset before you play. Spend 10 minutes before you play relaxing to Elliott's soft English voice, and listen to an MP3 of the type of game you're about to play. Now think about that for a second. A poker hypnosis tape specific for your game. He even has some poker hypnosis tapes and MP3s he calls it his life value pack. Okay, you get 4 MP3s for the price of 3. He's got a hypnosis for confidence, hypnosis for happiness, hypnosis for exercise, hypnosis for weight loss. We can all see how these apply to poker. Okay, if you're more healthy in life, you're going to last longer, you're going to have more endurance at the poker table, you're just going to be playing better. You have to do something before you play to let go of everything else, and you have to focus. Just like his final table focus MP3. I listened to this one yesterday when I was on break just before the final table of the main. If you're playing and you're thinking about work, if you're thinking about a downswing, if you're thinking about your spouse or your girlfriend, you are costing yourself money. And $1 saved is exactly the same as $1 earned. It ups your ROI. So pause the podcast. I promise to be here when you get back. Click on the link in the show notes, or go to HeadsUpPoker.Poker. You'll find it there. Try his 7-minute tilt buster. It's free. You can see and hear what I'm telling you is the truth. When you decide to make a purchase, use the coupon code HUPOKER, and you'll score yourself a little discount. You'll hook up the podcast as well. Try it. I promise you'll be glad you did. I use them. Mike uses them. Mark Alioto uses them. Derek Tenbush uses them. Fedor Holtz, Brian Rass, Jonathan Little, the list goes on. They work. Okay, just try it. All right, a couple little notes. All right, these are some things I saw yesterday, and I just see. It seems like every time I play poker, but especially out here in China with the language barrier. I studied some Mandarin before I came to China. And then it took my wife and I, we both studied Mandarin. She did a lot more than I. And the first 2 days, people were speaking. We did the Rosetta Stone Mandarin, and People were speaking Chinese, and what little we learned in Mandarin was just not applying. Like, we were saying words and people were not understanding us. And then come to find out that apparently we're both retarded, because they don't speak Mandarin in Hong Kong and Macau. They speak Cantonese. So all that time we spent studying Mandarin was completely pointless. Um, yeah, so I've been picking up a little Cantonese here and there, and but it's I've found the language going from English and learning Spanish is far easier, because it's Latin based and a lot of the words are kind of similar, and somehow you can kind of relate. Like carro and car. That you can see how carro and car are this. Very similar. Well, they're very different when it comes to Asian languages. But some of the things here I've noticed sitting at the poker table that, when other people don't speak English and you're trying to announce a raise size, I'm like using my fingers a lot. If I don't have, like, let's say I want to bet 325, but all I have is like a 500 and a 1,000 chip. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to constantly get change when the blinds come around to me, so I don't have to announce what it is. Another thing you can do too is when you raise, how, like, let's say somebody bets 300 and you want to raise to 1,000. I don't know the word for raise in Cantonese, so if I put out a 1,000 chip there, that's going to be a call, right? So what I'll do, and I actually do this in America as well, it's just kind of become a habit, and I would highly recommend that you do it as well, is, put out 1,000 and then a 25 chip as well. It's just a small portion of an extra raise, but there is no doubt in anyone's mind, whether they're across the table or the dealer, that is in fact a raise. So I'd recommend doing that. Is if you're going to raise, and that's the example I got here, is put out 1,000 and then a 25. So there's two chips out there that are different colors, and it's obvious that it's a raise. Another thing too that I saw here, there was a guy to my right. He was probably the second best player at the table. I was pretty glad when he busted. Recognize other players' moods at the table. And the one that I really saw yesterday was recognize when a guy is tired and he wants to win the tournament in one hand, because that guy is going to be shoving very light. He's going to kind of see spots that might be a good spot, but he might not have the cards for it. So recognize that. If you see a guy that's kind of falling asleep halfway through the tournament and you're looking at your watch and you realize you have another 6 or 7 hours to go before this thing's going to close out, that guy has absolutely no chance of winning the tournament. He bought a lottery ticket and he basically just put it through the shredder and set it on fire. Okay, so be looking for those spots and recognizing players when they're in situations like that. Another thing I've seen out here, coming here to China, I've only been here 4 or 5 days now, but I've seen that there's definitely a different culture, at least as far as China is concerned, and I'm kind of grouping Asians all into one group here, and I know that's probably a little racist because I've been to Vietnam and Thailand and Cambodia, China now. I spent a month in Indonesia. Okay, so I've seen a lot of different Asian cultures, and they all are very, a little bit diverse, but I'm kind of grouping Asia into one category here. But when it comes to Asian poker, as far as live tells, specifically China here, they can tend to be, I think, more superstitious than other cultures. An example here is all the casinos out here, they've got a giant lion out in front. They have what looks like Spartan guys with spears standing out front. And I was talking with a guy, his name was Wilson. He's the tournament director here at the casino. He speaks really good English. And I was asking him about that, because I was down watching guys play Baccarat. Huge into Baccarat here. The poker scene in Macau isn't nearly as big as I thought it would be, or that I heard it was. I went to the Wynn Casino, and I went there at, I think, 2 p.m, and there was 9 empty tables, and there was, one tournament director, or one poker director there, and there was a dealer sitting at the table, and no one was playing. And I'm like, what is all this I've heard about Macau? There doesn't seem to be much poker out here. But, yeah, okay, I'm getting off on a tangent. Okay, big into superstition. They've all got lions out in front, and I was asking Wilson about that, and he said that's a big superstition. It's like a feng shui thing, that they believe that they keep away the big spirits. And I watch people walk into the casino, and they kind of tap the lion's foot as they walk in. And so to immerse myself in Chinese culture, I was doing the same thing, maybe bring a little luck. The color red is also really big. All the casinos out here got a shit ton of red in them. So apparently red is lucky. When they're playing baccarat, huge into baccarat out here, they bend the cards a lot. And when I first saw that, I was, standing behind the table and watching them play baccarat. I don't totally understand the game, but they were like bending the cards to where you can't possibly use them again. I mean, it would be like folding the card in half, and then I asked Wilson about that, and he said, "Oh yeah, they don't use the cards twice." And I'm like, "You mean they throw them away?" And he said, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Wasn't that completely wasteful?" And he's all, "Well, you saw how much money they were betting, right?" And then I kind of did the math in my head, because this is Hong Kong dollars out here, and I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's not like in Vegas where, they have some blackjack tables where the table minimum is $3 or $5 or 10 or 15. No, the minimum out here is 1,000 Hong Kong dollars, which works out to be about $130 a hand. Okay, and those are the minimums. Those tables are few and far between. Most of them are 2K, which is over $250 a hand, and a hand takes about 15 seconds. It's faster than blackjack. And and there was tables with 5,000, 10,000. I mean, so these guys are betting, in some cases over $1,000 a hand. So the casino really doesn't care if they don't have to use the cards again. After the cards are played, whether they're bent or not, they just go into a dump box and they get thrown away. So a lot of superstitious out here. It reminded me a lot of baseball players. You know how baseball players, if you're a fan of baseball, every batter has his own routine before he steps up to the plate. When he steps out, he does everything exactly the same. I'm picturing David Ortiz when he steps up to the plate. They all have their own routine, and I think, especially in China and other Asian cultures too, that I've seen in America when I played, very superstitious. And so I think how this equates and how we can use it is, we can use it for tells. So some tells I've seen out here, just in the 12 hours that I played yesterday, is the slamming of the chips. When they take the chips, it reminded me of when I was in Indonesia and when I was in Vietnam, when they play dominoes, when they would play chess, and when they would play cards. It's culturally acceptable to slam down the dominoes or slam down the chess pieces or slam down the cards, like slapping them down on the table. And that's very accepted here. I think in America and other parts of the world, in Europe, that's not as common, and it's kind of like, I don't want to say rude, but it's not nearly as socially acceptable to do that. So we can use these for tells. Whenever someone's slamming the chips into the pot one time and not doing it the next, you can watch that player and set up a pattern and notice when he shows down hands, does that mean strength or does it mean weakness? And so far what I've seen is slamming of the chips. It's almost like a reverse tell here. And what it looked like yesterday was that those were fairly decent hands, but they were trying to, it's like the Mike Carroll reverse tell, when they're acting strong, they're probably weak, and when they're acting weak, they're probably strong. Well, here it looked like it was reversed. So the slamming of the chips was like a reverse tell. They were actually strong. They like to show their cards a lot, especially when they have a big hand. So you can gain information from that. I don't like to show my cards. I don't want to give away free information. But if they're going to show me their cards, I'm going to remember. So when they're slamming their chips in, it seemed to be more likely that they had a strong hand. Whereas when they're saying all in, it's more likely that they're bluffing. Okay, let's see. Getting into the satellite that I played. I played a satellite to a 2K event. Now that's in Hong Kong dollars, so we got to do some math here. And maybe we can make this a little math quiz here. Let's see. Okay, so for one, we'll do this in American dollars because I don't want to go to euros or anything. We'll keep it simple. Okay, so for a 2,000 event, you need to divide 2,000 2K by 7.75. So for every $1 American dollar, it's 7.75 Hong Kong dollars. So what would the buy-in be? If you're driving in your car, if you're vacuuming your house, go ahead and either pause the podcast or try to run it through your head right now and think, what would that be in American dollars? 2K divided by 7.75. I'm going to do it along with you here. The quickest way I think you can solve this, at least for me, would be to take, just turn 7.75 into 775. That would equal 100 American dollars. Okay, so for every 775 Hong Kong dollars, that would be 100 American. So 775, there's not more than 2 of those into 2,000. So we know that's at least $200, and it's less than 300. Okay, I'm going to do 775 plus 775 would be 1,550. Right? Am I about to embarrass myself in front of thousands of people? No, 1,550, and that leaves 450 left. So 450 over 775 is maybe 60%. I'm going to say it's about 260. I'm going to pause right here and do the calculator. 260. Okay. 258. Okay, so $258 event for the for that. Okay, so that's that one. Let's do another one here. And the next event, the one I'm going to be playing here in a few hours, is a 3K event. So if 2,000 is $258, how much would a 3,000 event be? What would that be in American dollars? Think about that for a sec. How would you solve that? Let's do some poker math. Okay, the way I would do that is I would put it in a fraction ratio. So I would do 258 over x equals 2 over 3. So you multiply 2 times x, so you get 2x equals 258 times 3. Okay, I'm doing this in my head. So 774. I'm getting a little self-conscious right now. I know that thousands of people are going to be listening to this and the fact that I suck at math. Okay, so 774 divided by 2 is 390-ish, I think. 387. Okay, 387. Okay, so that's the buy-in for the next event. All right. Yeah, so for the first satellite, the 258, which would be 2K in Hong Kong dollars, I got 2 out of 10. I got a little bit of money for the main buy-in, so that was kind of cool. Had a heads up event. I played heads up with one player, and I went in big chip deficit. He had me about 4-1. And what I noticed playing with him for a couple hours was that he was playing way too tight. Way too tight. And he had a huge chip advantage going in there because we were four-handed, and then he picked up, I don't remember, he had a big hand, and he knocked 2 other guys out. So instantly we're heads up. At the bare minimum, I made a little money, and I could possibly win my seat to the big event that night. And that was pretty cool. He was playing way too tight, so my strategy in that was basically raising the button a lot. I wanted to see a lot of flops with this guy because I knew that I was a better player than him. I wanted to see as many cards as possible so that he could make as many mistakes as possible. I wanted to keep the pot small, and I just wanted to run him over. And the strategy worked pretty well. Unfortunately, he got a little bit lucky, and I had him dead to rights. With I had Queen 10 versus, I believe, his 10-8, and we got it all in on the flop, and then he hit runner flush, so that was kind of a bummer. But well, what are you gonna do? But I got a let's see. Do I want to do the voicemail notes, or do I want to do the hand history first? Let's do a hand history first from the event that I played last night, not the satellite. Okay, this one is we've got Queen. This is the first level of the tournament. And we pick up 2 black queens. We've been playing for about 10 minutes or so. Maybe I've seen 6 hands. We pick up Queen in the cutoff. It folds to us. Blind levels are 25-50, and we all have 10K stacks. So in the cutoff with Queen here, I elect to raise to 125, which I think is fine. You could make it 150, you can make it 175, you can make it 100, but I made it 125 with the Queen, 2 black queens in the cutoff. The button calls, the small blind calls, and the big blind calls. Now, a couple of these players I played with in the satellite, and it was the 2 players in the blinds. They're both loose passive, and the guy to my left, the guy on the button, he is pretty aggressive. He's loose aggressive. He's definitely a lag player. I was watching him play at another tournament in between the satellite and this tournament, and he was definitely loose aggressive. In the first 6 hands, he probably played 5 of them. Very loose. So each one of their ranges is pretty wide. I think it's even too wide to even talk about right now. So we go to the flop. We got 500 in the pot, so we raise from the cutoff to 125. Button, small blind, big blind, call. We go to the flop with 500 in the pot, and the flop is 10-9-3. Okay, with 1 club, we have the queen clubs. And the small blind checks and the big blind checks. So what do we do here? I think that this is a pretty clear bet with 500 in the pot. I looked down. I was going to bet 400, and then I thought about it for a second. I thought, well, maybe 400's a little big, and although this is a really good flop for their ranges, for the button, the small blind, and the big blind's calling ranges, I ended up going for 300, and I bet 300. The button calls, the loose aggressive player. The small blind, the loose passive player, he calls, and then the big blind folds. So we got 1,400 in the pot. Now, what does this mean when they call? I think that they could all have something, some type of backdoor draws. I think that the guy on the button, the loose aggressive player, he could even be calling here with a 3. I think he could be calling with Jack 8. I think he could be calling with Queen Jack, although we block Queen Jack pretty hard. A 10, he could be calling with a 9. And he could be calling with, King Queen for a gut shot, although we block King Queen pretty hard. I think that he could be even calling here with like ace high, hoping to spike an ace. Pretty wide. The guy in the small blind, I think he's also got, small pairs he might be calling with here, overcalling. He could be calling with 2 face cards. Hands that I think I can now take out of the buttons range is hands like probably 8s plus. I really think he would be 3-betting there pre-flop with 8s plus. I think that maybe 8s plus is a little wide. Definitely Jacks plus. Probably 10s plus and 9s plus. Maybe 8s is a little wide. He might call there with 8s. Yeah, I think that he would be 3-betting with jacks plus there. So we feel pretty good about our hand. I think they could also be calling there with 8-7. For an open ender, hands like that. So we go to the turn. Again, the board is 10-9-3. And the turn with 1,400 in the pot is the 9 of clubs, putting out 2 clubs on there. Again, we've got the queen of clubs for a little blocker value there. Small blind checks again, and now it's on us. So with 1,400 in the pot, what do we do here? Think about your sizing. What would your sizing be here? We're going to bet. I think this is a pretty undebatable bet. I don't like checking here and giving a free card with the backdoor flush coming in. And not only that, but nines are in both of these guys' range. And if they have a drawing hand, something like Queen Jack, Jack 8, or 8-7, we want to make them pay for it. If they have a 10, we want to make them pay for it. So we got a bet here. I went a little bit small. I think I should, looking back at this, I think I should have bet a little bigger. I don't really like my sizing. I went 525 and into 1,400. I think I like a bet of maybe like 650, a little bit more. Just get a little bit more value from, I think we should be targeting a 10 here. I think we should be targeting the draws, and I think that sizing, both of them would pay for that. But I bet 525. That's what I ended up betting. The button calls, so the loose aggressive guy calls, and the small blind folds. So we go heads up to the river. Now at this point when he calls, I think those same hands are still in his range. I really think he's got a lot of 10s in his range here. I think he has draws like Jack 8, Queen Jack, and I think he's got draws like 8-7, and I think he's got backdoor flush draws now. Other hands that I think he might have is he might have like he might have had like a wheel ace. He might have had something like ace 4, ace 5, ace deuce, possibly even ace 3 for maybe he picked up a combo draw for the flush draw on the turn. But we go to the river. There's 2,450 in the pot, and effective stack started out at 10K, so we started with 200 big blinds here. And the river is the 2 of clubs. So the final board here is 10-9-3. Turn is 9 of clubs. The river is the 2 of clubs. So the backdoor flush got there, but everything's an undercard to our queens. And what do we do here? The action's on us. Do we bet or do we check? I see a lot of players in this spot go for a check call. And I think too often players they're worried about the backdoor flush draw getting there. And they're worried about, a guy having trips here, like a guy having a 9. And I think, for me, this is better played as a bet fold. So I think we're better off betting here, and then if he raises, well, we have a decision, but I think that decision is almost always bet fold. And here's why. We got to figure out what we're targeting here, okay? If we bet, he's folding all Jack 8s, he's folding Queen Jack, and he's folding 7-8 for the missed straight draws. So we're not targeting that, right? I think what we really need to target here is a 10. It looks a lot like this guy has a 10. I don't think he has pocket jacks because I think he would have 3-bet those pre-flop. He may make a crying call with like pocket 8s, but I think that is, I think that's even asking a lot of a loose aggressive player. So I really think we have to focus here and target a 10. Now we got to ask the question: if we're targeting a 10, how can we make the most money from a 10? Is it by a check call or is it by a bet? And put yourself in his position with a 10 here. Okay, let's say what tens are in his range. I would argue that because a few hands before, I saw him call a raise in position with 10-7 suited. He had 10-7 of diamonds, and he called down with 10-7. He actually ended up rivering a straight, and he didn't bet it because he didn't see it. He thought he just had a pair of tens the whole way. But anyhow, he called down with 10-7 with a top pair with 10-7. So maybe that was playing into my mind a little bit here. But, so I would argue that he has at least 10-7 suited in his range, possibly even 10-6 suited. I don't know. That might be a little loose, but I would say he's got 10-7, he's got 10-8. He has 10-9, which has us freaking crushed. He's got Jack 10. He has Queen 10, which, again, we block pretty hard. He's got King 10 and Ace 10. So out of all those 10s, if we check here, which 10s are going to bet? And I think only Ace 10 is going to bet, and I think possibly King 10 is going to bet. But I think all the rest are probably checking behind. So we make no money when he has all the other 10s except possibly Ace 10. And I would say that he's calling with the 10s when we bet here. So I think this is a pretty clear bet fold. And I like to bet 725 into 2450. Now that's pretty small. It's less than a third pot. But I think that I think that's good sizing there. Maybe if we check here and he's got Ace 10, he's going to bet something like 1,000. But in those few instances where he has Ace 10 and we make 1,000, as opposed to all the other times where he has the other 10s and we check and he checks behind, we lose that. I go for 725, which in perspective here is kind of a decent sized bet because we're betting 14.5 big blinds on a value bet on the river. And I think a lot of players don't go for that really thin value on the river, and that's where you can make just a few extra chips and you have, tons of little spots like that throughout a tournament that can really make the difference between making a deep run and not making one at all. So we make that 725 bet, and he thinks for a while, thinks for even longer while, and then he finally tosses in a call. We flip over our hand, and he kind of mutters something to himself, throws the cards in the middle, and we win the pot. So we win a nice 3,900 pot there, and that was a nice little hand. Okay, I've got a few little voicemail notes here, and I got this from my friend Corey Walland. He's a TPE pro. He's been getting back into making some videos on TPE, and he's got his own podcast. You guys should check it out. It's called Blunt Sessions with Corey Wallen. And the way he structures his podcast is around voicemail notes. He's a live tournament grinder. He's won like half a dozen circuit rings. Very good live pro. Very good at reads and getting people to kind of give away information. Just really good live tournament pro. And I've been trying to get him on the podcast for like a year and a half. I'll get him on eventually, Corey. If you're listening, you're coming on eventually. But I started doing these voicemail notes because of him. And I really want to encourage you guys, if you play live, to do the same thing. And basically what you do is you get your phone and download a voice memo app, just like what I'm recording this podcast with. They're free. And just like Elliot Rose 7-minute tilt buster. And basically what I do is, if you have a hand that is kind of bugging you, you're not sure if you made the right fold, maybe you could have got more value, you made a bad call. This is usually when I record them, is like if I make a bad call or I make a bad fold or I just make a mistake, step away from the table, kind of wait for the action when you see several people call to go see a flop and step away from the table. It only takes you can record a hand in 50 seconds or so. And step away from the table and record the hand down, note the blind levels, the action, any reads you had on the players, something to kind of jog your mind about the hand. and see, just get it down on your phone so that it clears your mind. Now you can focus on the rest of the tournament and you don't have to think about that hand anymore. Then you can come back after the tournament and review that note and go, you know what, maybe that spot wasn't so bad, or yeah, that was terrible. What can I learn from this so I never make that mistake again? So I want to share a couple of these voice notes with you guys. Now, another thing you can do too is take a voice note, and I do this as well, is take a voice note in between every single break. And it's kind of like a little pep talk, So, when you're coming back from break, maybe you go to the bathroom and you grab a little something to eat, and then you've got 2 or 3 minutes before the tournament resumes, and on your way back, just put your phone up to your ear like you're calling somebody on the phone, and take a voicemail note, and it'll kind of be a little pep talk to kind of get everything out, relieve that stress, and then now you're ready to focus on the tournament, and you can forget about those hands that you made mistakes on because you got it recorded. You can review it later. You can go over it when you're sitting at home, and you can plug it into your equity calculator and talk it over with your friends, or record it on a podcast like I'm doing now. Just kind of clear your mind. So anyways, we're going to play this one for you. This one is titled 7-4 Suited on Break. Okay, so where this one is from, it was when I was heads up with the player in the Satellite, and I had just played 7-4 suited on the button, and I called, and we'll just play the note, and then you can listen to it. Okay, we are heads up, and the blinds are 3 and 600. We both have about 7K, somewhere around there, a little bit more than 10 bigs. And I've got 7-4 suited on the button, and I complete, and he checks behind. He's always checking all of his crap hands, and he's raising his good hands, and he's playing way too tight. I think maybe I should have been a little more active pre-flop. I just wanted to see a lot of flops with this guy because I really felt like my advantage was post-flop and on the turn and river. So anyhow, I complete, he checks behind, and we go to a flop of Jack 8-5. So we whiff except for a gutter ball. He checks, and the way he checks, it looked to me like he had something on that flop. It looked to me like he had something. So I check behind. We try to bink a 6, and the turn is a 4. So we pair a 4, and then now he bets out, and he bets out 600. So we call. I don't think there's anything to do there except call. And then we go to the river. The river's a 3. And so the final board is Jack 8-5, turn is a 4, river's a 3. And now he bets out 1,200. We haven't seen him fire 2 like this. When he's fired 1 on the turn, we called him and he didn't have anything. He just had, I think it was Jack high. Now he's fired twice, so he's got something. This was the part where, if we went with our read that he had something on the flop, and there was a flush draw on the flop, and 9-10 would be a straight draw, I guess 7-6 would too, but we blocked that because we have 7-4. I don't know. I think it's a fold there on the river, just because he double-barreled. We've been playing with him for the last 2 hours, and he knew you were beat. Well, he didn't know you were beat, but you're almost certain you were beat, and with stacked so short, I kind of justified a call to see what he had. But yeah, that was a fold. He rivered 2 pair. He had 5-3 off. And so a raise pre-flop would have taken it down, but I don't know. I like seeing flops with that guy. So anyways, shake it off. and we got a long night of poker. Okay, so hopefully you can see you can hear what I was talking about. Is this hand? I really think I misplayed. I think that I don't know if it was the way he was moving, or I took a long time to call on the river there, and I mean, a pair of fives there is a bluff, and I couldn't even beat that. I don't know what I was doing calling with a four there. So this hand was obviously running through my mind, and I needed to clear my mind. So this was, I think, a good voicemail note to just kind of get rid of that and let it go, let that hand go, and so that I could move on with the heads-up match and, just completely forget about it and focus. So I think I played that one pretty bad, but, the point of that note was to just get, clear my head, get it out, and move on. But anyways, okay, now this next one is from after I finished that satellite, and I get second place in it, and I just went and collected my winnings, and I've got about an hour or so before the next tournament starts, and I'm going to go and I'm just trying to clear my mind from this, shake it off that that I didn't ship the tournament and beat the guy, and especially he outdrew me. But just clear your mind and move on and get ready for the next tournament. Because I know I have at least another 8 hours of play here if I go the distance, probably closer to 10 or 12. And you got to clear your mind and just move on to the next spot. So this next one is titled Second Place in Satellite, and it's right after I finish that tournament. Okay, just played a satellite, ended up having about probably 8 players. A couple of guys bought back in, guys bought in late. Started with a 5, but anyways, got in heads up, and the guy had a big chip lead on you, but you realized that he was folding way too much. Things like you'd shove 4 big blinds, he'd have 10 with I remember you shoved 4 deuce suited on the button, and he snap folded and showed king 7 off. And at that point you realize the only way you're going to lose this is if you get unlucky. So unfortunately you did, and you got him you had him dead to rights with the queen 10 versus 10-8, and he caught a flush on the river, and that was that chopped your leg out from underneath you. And the next hand you got jack 8 suited on the button, shoved it for 5 big blinds. He called, he had about 10 big blinds, and he had ace queen. He caught an ace on the flop, but you also caught a jack, then you caught an 8 on the turn, and then he caught and then the board paired on the river for a pair of 5s, and he got a better 2 pair. So GG. But you've got the next tournament coming up. You got the main here starting in about an hour, so gonna have something to eat, listen to another hypnosis tape by Elliot Rowe, and then we're gonna be in it, ready to take this one down. Be ready to play all night. You're gonna be going for the next 8 hours at least. Good luck, me. Okay, there. That was like a little pep talk. So highly recommend these voice notes. They're very, very good. Can't give Corey enough props on this. It's a great idea. I don't know if it's his idea, but he's where I learned it, and he actually even made a whole series of this on TPE on his voicemail notes from the WSOP, and love him. Great idea. But we're gonna play one more here. It's after the first break, and it's it's basically after the. It's after the first break. I'm coming back from, I think I'm coming back from the bathroom. The tournament starts in like 2 minutes, and I take a little 40-second voicemail note here after the first break, ready to start level 5. Okay, going back after first break of the last tournament. We've got about, coming into 17 or 18 big blinds. Average stack is probably 21. Let's do this. Run it up, playing well, running well. Best player at the table other than me, just busted, so that's good news. And everyone else, I feel like I got a read on them really well. One guy to my right plays too tight. He was the guy I was in heads up in the last satellite event, so that's good. And let's do this. Okay, yeah, you guys can see how, and there's something about when you're recording these things that, if you're not in the right mindset, you're not in the right mood, by putting this into your phone and recording it, you can even hear it in my voice at the end there. You're like, all right, let's go, let's do this. It's time to focus, time to get in it. We're gonna win this thing. We're playing well. It's 17 big blinds. Let's go make it happen. And they really work. Just give it a shot. Let me know what you think about it. Send me an email or hit me up on Twitter. But that tournament it went went pretty well. I got down top 5 paid, and I ended up going out 7th. I played some pretty awesome poker that, if I do say so myself, that tournament. I got. Every time I just made great calls. I made great reads. I was just feeling good. I'd been playing for a long time, and didn't feel tired. Didn't feel, I just felt like I was in the zone and focused the entire time. It was awesome. Got my money in good. And the one time that I was behind, that was when I busted. One of the hands that was a little frustrating. I got we were down to 7 and top 5 paid, and I had 8-9 offsuit in the small blind. I had 12 big blinds. No, I take that back. I had 15 big blinds, and the big blind had about 7. He was pretty loose aggressive, but he was a bad player, and I just wanted to see flops with this guy. So I call in the small blind, knowing that if he ships, I got to dump it. He thinks for a while, which made me think that he had like one high card, something like queen high or king high. I was pretty sure he didn't have ace high, or I'm almost certain he would have shoved there. But he thinks for a while, and then he checks. The flop comes down 9-6-3, and at that point, I don't think there's anything to do but check, because we flop top pair. This guy's an aggressive player. I'm almost certain he's going to bet, and we want to do the rope-a-dope. Let him bet, and so I check. He puts out a bet of about a blind and a half, and so we want to keep him in. We don't want to, if we shove here, he's never calling with worse, I don't think, unless maybe it's a strong 6 or a hand that's better than ours, but somehow he just checked behind with jacks or better or something. But we just call, and then the turn is a 4, and still going to do the rope-a-dope here. I think loose aggressive. I think he's going to be shoving if he has just about anything, and any kind of draw, any pair. I think he's shoving. So we check again. Sure enough, he shoves. What are we going to do? Fold top pair. So we call, and turns out he has king 4. So he turned a pair of 4s. So he bet the flop with king high, shoved the turn with a pair of 4s, and we call, and then the river's king. So that was a bummer. So now we're down to 7 bigs. A couple of hands later, we shove jack 10 suited in the cutoff, and the big blind wakes up with ace king, and that was GG. So that was a bummer. That was the only time we got it in behind, and it's rare that you play a tournament like that and get so deep without at least sucking out or getting lucky. But I think I was just in the zone and on my game, and hopefully I can do the same today. It's 12:30 right now. My first tournament will start in an hour and a half, so I'm going to take a little nap. I'm going to listen to an Elliott Rowe live MTT MP3, and then I'm going to go catch a taxi if I can find one, if not an Uber, and head down to City of Dreams Casino and see if I can ship one of these things, make some money. But Thank you for tuning in. Thank you guys for everything. This is a lot of fun, and next week I'm going to go into how the tournaments went, the ones I'm playing today. All right, you have a great week, and here is your weekly motivational speech.
In what you've done with your life thus far, is it giving you what you want? Is it giving you what you want? When you look toward the future, when you look at all that's going on out here, is there some place within yourself you say, hey, I know I need to be out there in that arena. I know I can do more than what I've been doing. I know there's some great music that I have within me that I haven't brought out here yet. Is that something that you begin to look at within yourself? See, I say if you look at your life, and if you're not getting what you want, you owe it to yourself to do something differently. If you're on a job, 85% they say of Americans go to jobs that they're unhappy. If you're doing something 8 hours a day that you don't like, it's not giving you what you want, it's not giving you a strong feeling of satisfaction and fulfillment, you're miserable, you hate to go there, you're depressed just thinking about it, you sing the "Thank God It's Friday" song every week. If that's what it is, you owe it to yourself to start strategically working to change directions. See, but you know what most people will do? Most people will resist change. Most people will fight change as if change would be worse than what they're experiencing. See, they know this. They're familiar with this. Most people will not challenge the unknown. They won't just step out there. See, there's certain things that's got to be in place. They got to see it all together. And life isn't like that. That's not how you grow. So as you look at your life, you're saying, I'm not getting what I want. As you begin to look toward the future, begin to know that whatever it takes for you to create that, you've got that in you. You've got that. You've got genius in you. You've got goodness in you. You've got creativeness in you. If you decide to take the initiative to change the current quality of your life, I say to you that you will find that the universe is on your side, that life is on your side.